Hey Ryan, how you doing tonight?
Not so great. I was doing a lot better last night. We got the big win over Toronto, and then we laid a big egg against St. Louis tonight. I'm
Well,
not feeling
at
too
least you
hot
got
about
the
that.
piece against my Leafs there. You're now up in the season series 2-1, so I figured you're gonna let me have it again.
Well, it was nice to see them get their first win in 12 games in Toronto. I
Shootout.
think who cares? A win is a win. Honestly, I was like, I think the last time they won in that building, it was still called the Air Canada Center.
It probably was.
Anyway, they got a big win, and I was all ready to get onto this thing and gloat all night to you and make that the focus of this podcast episode.
I
And
guess I got to be happy they played again tonight.
my plans were foiled because they literally laid an egg. I thought they dominated the first period, and then they came out in the second period and like forgot how to play defense.
Well,
It was the
I text you,
opposite.
I literally text you. I missed the minute and a half of the first minute and a half of the second period, and they were up 2-1 when I left and came back, and I went, "Wait a second, how did they get
Yeah,
down?"
yeah. I was on the
2-1.
phone. I was on the phone with my brother, and I could see it out of the corner of my eye. It was happening, and I couldn't really react in real time on it. I was like, "Damn it, what the hell's going on over there?" They're like leaving people in front of the net again. And
That's just crazy.
but anyway, like yeah, not great.
They
That
looked a
was
little Leaf-esque in the third period too, and couldn't get the puck out of their own end.
they couldn't get the puck out of their end. Even when they were pressing, they had trouble getting the puck out of their end, and they also looked like the Leafs did last night in terms of not being able to have sustained in the third period. There was nothing sustained in the zone. It was all like one shot, and then it came out. And Binnington was pretty solid. I'll give him that. Still not my number one choice for the Olympic team, but
I still say he's getting game one, but
he had a
you
good
know,
he had a good game.
he had a good game. But I'm still impressed. I just watched the Demidov skate around and handle the puck and distribute the puck. He's impressive. Once he matures a little bit more, he's only 19. Was he about to be 20?
He's about to be 20.
Once he matures a little bit more and gets a little bit more used to this league, he might be unstoppable.
Yeah, he's also a lot more physical than I thought he was going to be. Like he wins a lot of puck battles and
Yeah, he's not as
uses
scared to
his
mix
body.
it up.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem scared to mix it up in the corners at all.
yeah. No, the line I was really impressed with tonight was their fourth line. Since they moved Zach Bolduc down there, that line's been looking to sort of find their chemistry. And I thought, this kid Jared Davidson, he's playing. I don't know, has he hit 10 games yet? I don't think so, but he's been playing pretty well, for someone I think who got drafted at a junior B or something like that. Like,
so let me ask you a question here. When Line A comes back, where does he fit in now that you got this new kid, Texier, on your team? Like, where does Line A fit into this team now?
in between Jeff Gordon and Phil Hughes in the owner's suite.
Press box. That's a lot of money to give up into the press box.
Yeah, or they put him up and look, they can certainly put him on the market.
I can't see anybody taking him.
Are you kidding?
At that price.
At the last year of his contract, right? So he's a
You're gonna
rental
have to
anyway.
Eat some of that price tag.
I don't think you do. I think the Canadians, if the Canadians can get like a really good asset for him.
Really, you think?
And
so
he's
the head case that he is.
Yeah, but he's got a lethal shot from the wing. Like, let's just say you're a team like I'm not going to say that. Maybe call it the Leafs.
Oh no! Don't even put that word.
Hang on, just bear with me a second.
That's what we need, another aging old guy that can't move.
But it's the team that's popping into my mind. Let's say that the Leafs find their game, continue the improvement they're on, and they like get themselves in the playoff picture. But their power play percentage continues to sit around 14-15%.
Yeah, third last in the league.
Right. So what's to stop you from taking a 2-month rental, to put this guy and maybe, score 4 or 5 power play goals and increase your chances of making some noise in the playoffs? At least on the power play. You would not even dream of using him outside of that. Like he's your 13th forward.
That's a lot of money to put on a guy.
It's not a lot of money for 2 months. It's not a lot of money for 2 months.
I guess the trade deadline maybe. He's got to get healthy first. He's got to prove that he can play still.
Yeah, he's certainly not a December He's not a December acquisition for anybody, but he could be a deadline acquisition. And
But
if
this
the
is an
Canadians
interesting.
can't even use him,
Well, this is an
then
interesting conversation. Last year, we went from holy cow, this kid is electrified this fan base. He
he
plays
did.
started the year so great, scoring goals, scoring on the power play, going, wow, he's done great. And now in less than a year, he
Yep.
seemingly has worn out his, I mean, not worn out his welcome, but he's worn out his usefulness in Montreal.
Well, he's not a great 5-on-5 player at the best of times. And I think in the Canadians' style, which is all about pace and quick
Yeah,
decision
he
making,
can't
and
keep up with those young guys. There's no
he
way.
can't keep up with that. And
No.
so I think they're gonna, if they can, they may try to deal him. They may try to deal him. But like I said, that fourth line was really very impressive tonight. The Bolduc was great. Davidson was great. And while he doesn't seem to bring a whole lot of offense, like Joe Valeno, former Detroit Red Wing, Montreal kid drafted in the first round, finds a way to contribute. Like he played solid defense tonight. They had some pressure. Also, they cycled the puck really well. There was more cycling from that line than any other line tonight, I thought.
Mm.
So maybe they've got a little bit of a fourth line brewing there. I don't know. We'll see. But the rest of the team, obviously Cole Caulfield played pretty well. He had a nice little goal. Demidov played very well. But they blew too many chances.
Uh, uh,
They gave up too many chances, and that's what your result
But
is,
I
no
want to
matter
know
who
what
you're playing.
Biddington was thinking about in the last couple seconds of the game, throwing that puck into the corner right to, I forget who he threw it to. I think he threw
Yeah,
it to
threw it right
Demidov.
to Suzuki, and then
Suzuki
Suzuki
and
tossed it right in
yeah.
front, and he almost gave up a goal.
Yeah.
I think what he was trying to do was eat the rest of the clock.
Yeah, I don't think he
And
saw Suzuki head
yeah,
into the corner, which I would have taken my chances on the faceoff versus
yeah,
throwing it
it
into the
was
corner trying to keep the clock going.
that
But
was kind of a silly play.
yeah, because at
But
one point I thought the puck was in the net. The light went on. I went, oh, it's the green light, not the red light.
right,
So
right. Okay, so that's enough about the Canadians. Let's move on to the let's move
to
on
my
to the
Leafs.
Leafs, because this is an interesting conversation, because they previously to their shootout loss to Montreal, like, so it's like, not even really a loss, it's a shootout loss. They've been blowing teams out, so you've got to be feeling pretty good, Phil. You got to be feeling pretty good about
Like,
where they
look at
are.
I got to talk a little bit of positivity because I've been pretty brutal the last 2 or 3 weeks on them. And look, we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, but they went on a tough road swing, 6 games on the road, came out of that 4-2. Again, scoring goals, but scoring goals has not been their problem all year. We're third in the league in scoring goals. We are still in the bottom third in goals against. And we are
Mm.
now dead last at getting the puck out of our own zone. We are spending way too much time in our own zone. I think you said it when we were talking before we got on air here that the Leafs just are one and done in the offensive zone, and there's no sustained pressure in the offensive zone. We need to fix that. Now, on the positive side, I think the team has started to sort out their lines a little bit. I have a little question mark on a few of the players and where they're playing, but you know, the second line of Nylander, Tavares, and Cowan seems to be somewhat settled. The last night at the end of the game, Cowan was put aside and McCann was put up there. McCann was put up there. Sorry, McCann. The third line that has been our best line on the road, which was Joshua, Waugh, and McCann,
It's
finally using their size, finally using their speed to create some chaos. And they were our best line over those 6 games, scoring the most goals. And then the third line, or fourth line of Lawton, Lawrence,
and Robertson.
and Robertson.
Robert, say his name.
They're not even going there. But that first line, we still need to find someone to fit in with Nyes and Matthews, because I don't think it's Domi, and it's
No, it's not Domi. Domi's not a playmaker. But
so
like, let's go back to that third line for a second, because I thought they played very well, and I also thought, even though I'll do them the respect as the non-Maple Leaf fan to get Bobby McMahon's name right.
McMahon. Sorry, did I call him McCann?
Four
McMahon.
times.
Sorry, I'm having brain
But
brain farts all over the
well,
place
didn't they?
here.
They used to have a McCann.
Yeah,
I can't remember his first name though. But anyway,
You got me
uh,
talking about Robertson and got me off my game.
Robertson got you off your game, but you say you called him again before you even mentioned Roberts. But look, they've got Robertson. And this is what I said to you earlier. They have Robertson on the fourth line, and you can't demote a guy like that to the fourth line because he's not a fourth line player.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the
he's the
problem.
least.
He's
He's the
not a
least.
second line player or first
He's
line player
he
either.
with his skill set. He's either a top six guy or he's in the press box or he's in the
Well, put him
AHL.
in the press
Mostly,
box or put him in the HL or put him in Europe because he's not a top six player in the
no,
NHL. I'm sorry, he's just
he's
not.
proven it. He's proven it. So it's
Proven what?
time that he's not a
Yeah,
top
he's
six
not.
player at the
Like,
NHL level.
and we were talking about this again before being on air here is that, look at Michelli has seemed to have found himself in the doghouse. And look, he's not had a great season, but you look at the stats of his and Robertson's. Robertson is -2 with three more games. Michelli is +2 with three less games and is only off Robertson by a couple points, one less goal, two less assists, so 3 points. So someone tell me why Robertson is playing and not Michelli, because Michelli or even Yarncroc on that fourth line is better than Robertson, right?
Yep.
And I think you need to maybe give Michelli a chance, as much as he's not played very well, a little more of a chance on that top line to sort of melt and figure it out. And by that way, I think we just talking about Domi needs to go to the press box, and I think Yarncroc is a better fit on the fourth line with Lorentz and Lawton, because that then becomes a good checking, solid checking line.
Yeah.
Um, so
Or bear with me here because you can do this very cheaply.
make a
You
trade.
can you can trade for some real meat.
Yes.
Like they're already a big team, but maybe you get somebody a little meaner.
Yeah.
You
Somebody,
know,
yeah, absolutely. Maybe you do that. But let's be really honest here. What our biggest, the 6 game run, if it hadn't been for Wool and Hildeby, he'll
it might not have happened.
might not have happened because they absolutely stood on their head for 6 games. And now
Yeah.
Wool being injured, Hildeby is going to have to run the gauntlet for the next week because it sounds like Wool will be out at least a week. Stolhart still hasn't started skating again since his injury. Nobody really knows what's wrong with him, which is real problematic. One thing is going into the season that we thought we had a great 1-2 combination in net, and now we're down to our third string goaltender and the kid that's sitting in the AHL.
Yeah, but the third string goaltender did play real
Oh,
well.
he's
So
played great. Like you can't
let's give him his props.
absolutely you can't take anything away from him. He played great against Montreal. One of the few games that we haven't been able to score some goals. And look at our power plays killing us. We're, as we said,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're 30th in the league in power play, which is not, great for the Leafs. So we've got to fix that. We got to fix getting out of our own end. We got to fix playing in our own end too much. And we got to get some more sustained pressure in the offensive zone. But look they had a good week. They need some building blocks. They got a tough week this week. We got Tampa Bay on Monday night. We got the Sharks come to town on Thursday, and then we got the Oilers on Saturday. So
Yeah.
that's a tough week with some young teams that are, well, first of all, Tampa Bay playing really well with a lot of injuries, so which is surprising. So that's going to be a tough game. We got to be able to try and skate with the Sharks, and the Sharks are, although not in a playoff position right now, are playing really well. And the Oilers, we can't run and gun with the Oilers. That game could be 10-9 because the Oilers can score at will, but can't keep the puck out of the net. And the Leafs seem to be able to score and can't keep the
Might
puck
look
out of their own zone. So it's that might be like take the over on that game.
okay. So I want to. Yeah, it's like a game of shinny. All right. So
Last shot wins.
I've got an assignment for you for next week. Then,
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about this. What the Leafs really need, other than their defenseman to come back from injury, what the Leafs really need is a first line playmaker for Austin Matthews. And Adam Oates, although Oates was a center, what they really need is a winger.
Mm-hmm.
Your assignment is to identify 2 or 3 guys that might or might not be like choose one fantasy guy to trade for. Choose one fantasy guy that you'd like to, can't be unrealistic. Like it can't be a guy that's like on a team that's competing for the Stanley Cup because they're not going to trade him. But somebody who could like theoretically be pried out, and then somebody who's on the market. And then we'll talk about what they might have to give up for those. That's your assignment for next week.
So don't think about the fact that they have no assets to give up. Just think
no,
about
this is like, let's
we'll
just
then
say
discuss on if it's possible to pry that person out of a team.
Yeah, like if you could come up with a playmaking winger to put with Austin Matthews that might be available, let's
Okay.
figure out
That sounds like a
who
fun assignment.
that is a
Thanks for
fun
the
assignment.
homework.
You're welcome.
Gives me something to do for the week other than stew about the Leafs. So what's up next?
Oh,
Where do
okay.
you want to go next? You want to talk New Jersey? Do you want to talk Washington? What do you want to
Yeah,
talk
let's
about?
talk about, Washington's the feel good stories. Let's start with them.
Okay.
So neither of us and not a lot of other people expected Washington to be not only first place again in the Metro, but also first place in the conference at this point in the season. And
Not a lot of
yet,
people expected them to make the playoffs.
yeah, yeah, they've surprised everybody again, and they're doing it with kind of a similar sort of blueprint from last year. First of all, Alex Ovechkin continuing to defy father time somehow. He has 29 points on the season so far. Whoever thought he'd start getting assists, especially in his 40s?
Well,
Tom
he's
Wilson.
not skating around a lot much. I watched one of the Washington games
No,
this week, and he skates from blue line to blue line. If he doesn't think he's going to get the puck somewhere, he sort of stands somewhere between the blue line and the top of the
I
dot.
know. I should have checked before opening my big mouth about all of that and how he's still scoring. I should have checked to see where he was on the plus minus.
It actually doesn't
Um,
really matter because he's still putting the puck in. I think he's plus. It doesn't matter. They're plus because they're plus 28 overall.
well, partly
So he's
that's,
gonna.
yeah, I mean, that is partly because for crying out loud, Logan Thompson standing on his head, and they've only given up 75 goals in their 30 games so far. I
Ovechkin
mean,
is
it's,
plus 11.
is he really?
It's plus 11.
Okay. Maybe plus minus isn't worth anything. I don't
Well, there's a
know.
lot of people who would say that it's not worth a whole lot, but I think the
You know,
real
it's like,
story on this team not only is him because he is seemingly on a pace to score another 30 plus goals, which is impressive at his age, and the fact that he's barely skating on the ice is you look beyond him. Tom Wilson is leading the team in goals.
he's
He's
tearing
at
it up.
17 goals. And by the way, because he's really, in my mind, and I'm saying this without any obviously known to facts of what Team Canada is thinking about, with 17 goals, leading this team and seemingly having a great year, he might not make the team because he's, in my mind, competing against one player for this team, and that's Marchand. And Marchand's having an incredible year as well on a team that is deprived of its stars, and he is the star, and he's having such a great year. I just don't believe you can have both those guys on the team. They're both play the same exact role for them. The agitator, the bit of playmaking, some hard hitting, some playing in the corners, digging the puck out. I don't
Well,
think
I've
you can
got
have
this
both these
question.
guys on the team.
Fair enough. And so in choosing between them, and we're gonna come back to this topic in a few minutes, but I wanted to raise that now, is if you're gonna play on an ice that's 4 feet shorter than an NHL rink, wouldn't you want Tom Wilson on your team?
I think I'm taking Marshall. It's whether I don't think it's whether what I would do in this situation because you're right. Maybe it's Tom Wilson in this situation. However, I think Marchand has the leg up because he was on the Four Nations team and he has to lose the position, not jump over somebody. Right? That in my mind, he has.
Yeah, I don't think that way. I'm thinking completely tactically. Like to have a monster like Tom Wilson roaming around who can score and play good defense when he needs to
Marchand's not bad
on a
defensively.
short rink.
Well, it also
I'm
means skating's not a
honestly,
premium on a short rink, right? So it's you're I understand the checking thing. They're gonna have I don't know. I it's a debate for another day because the team is going to be named in less than a month from now,
yeah.
and we'll
Yep.
have that debate then. But I just don't believe you're going to see both these guys on the team because I really believe the way they're playing that Bedard and Macklin
Celebrini.
Celebrini have to be on this team. And it's even not whether they play a ton or not for a future basis, they are the
Well, they
future
get
of this team.
yeah, they're
And you
14
got to put them on the
forwards.
team now.
There are 14 forwards on the team. They're both going to make the team. And
So,
Suzuki's going to make the team.
but it's
Suzuki
also why
better
you
make the
can't
team.
have, I think Suzuki's got to make this team, but it's also why you can't have Tom Wilson and Marchand on this team.
Right.
It's just you're sucking up too much of that same style of play. Yes, they play differently in some way, but they're the purpose of them on that team would be exactly the same.
Okay.
And that's my
Yeah.
belief.
Yep. Well, then we got to talk about Logan Thompson.
And Logan
Like,
Thompson is look at we. I think we both said last year, if you can roll back the tape, that we both think Logan Thompson he's going to explode at some point, and he's having a better year this year than he had last year.
yeah, I mean,
He's
he's
second in the league
my
in goals against average.
yeah, he's my first string goalie for the Olympic team, and you know, he's single handedly probably put 3 or 4 wins in Washington's column this to this point in the season. It's really impressive. He's 196 goals against average. He's got 13 wins. He's so not goals, yeah, goals against average, and his save percentage is in the 920s.
Yeah, 925. He's
It's
playing
really
incredible.
he's really impressing me, and uh, kudos to Washington for making me eat my words and your words and a lot of other people's
Yeah.
words. So yeah, a lot of words being chewed on
There's no question. I still say that um, until they get to the tournament, if Binnington's on this team, he plays game one because
to keep saying that.
I just believe he earned it from that game he played in the gold game for the championship game in the Four Nations. I just believe it. Whether the coach does that or not because of his season, but you're right. Right now, if you look at the stats right now, Logan Thompson's number one and Wedgwood is number two. And
Yep.
Biddington, only because he's going to be on the team because of the Four Nations team, is three. But he might not even deserve to be on the team the way
It's,
he's playing.
he's got an 850 save percentage or whatever it is. It's
So,
terrible.
so
So,
he's,
but
he
look,
should be technically stats wise, he's third on this goaltender
okay. So
roster.
give him game one against Latvia or whoever it is.
They're actually playing. I think they're playing the Czechia in the first game.
Then don't put him in the first game. Put in Thompson. That brings us to Jersey, who've lost what, 6 in a row?
Yeah, they're terrible. They've lost five in a row,
Five in
and
a
they're
row.
3-7 in their last 10, and they've seemingly fallen apart.
Now
They're
they've had some injuries
-5.
too.
Yeah, the injuries, their injuries haven't helped. But they were on a roll there. All of a sudden, they've sort of fallen off the planet a little bit. So,
Yeah.
and they're outside looking in right now in the playoffs. But, obviously in such a tight Eastern Conference, they're a point out.
Yeah.
But 5 in a row, that's disturbing. That's a bad run.
Yeah. That's the look. I think they've had some injuries. They're going to find their way back. I'm not too worried about it. They will find their way. I don't see them continuing this slide.
Yeah.
And then looking at West, can we now take a step back and say that Joel Quenneville is the early season favorite for Coach of the Year? Because Anaheim,
I forgot about that, and I was going to mention that in our pre discussion. You're absolutely right. Joe Quenneville right now is Coach of the Year.
yeah,
There's no question he's Coach of the Year.
he's like, all right, our strategy is we're going to win every game 5-4. And they're doing it because they're 17-10-1 with 35 points. They're killing it. They're absolutely killing it.
And he's doing it with a very young team. And a lot of people probably would have said before this that he was a coach that coached veterans, that he didn't like the young
Yeah.
kids. That was a knock in Chicago. That was the knock that he's had in other places in Florida, I think, before he got ousted there because of the other issues. That he wasn't playing the young kids. He's got a team full of them right now, and he's proven that he can coach them, and he's proven that he can develop them, and they are playing fantastic hockey.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at it. They're 3 out of their top 4 players are either in their first or second year.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's they are obviously Leo Carlson, young kid with how he's playing. It's just incredible.
Actually, Carlson's in his 3rd year, but
Or third year, yeah, but he's still young. Like he's still,
Yeah.
what is he, like 21?
yeah. It's and Beckett Seneca, who
Yeah, he's a
I
rookie.
pronounced his name first so you wouldn't screw it up.
Thank you. Appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. He's coming out of nowhere, and it's unbelievable. It's a 4-team race for the Calder now. And Demidov is in 4th place.
But you also say like the young kid's playing well, but you got Chris Kreider got run out of New York
Yep.
playing well. You've got Trouba, who has steadied that defensive core, playing well. Now we can talk about that hit he made on Saturday night.
Well, yeah, we should. I'm curious I was actually going to ask you what you thought about that hit.
It might not have been a hit from behind, but it was definitely a blindside hit, and there probably should be supplementary discipline on that.
Oh
They're
my
trying
God,
to
he
cut
hit
that
him with
out.
his hip. He didn't even hit him with the shoulder.
Yeah, but it's
Like
still,
this is if
but
this is the
it's
kind of hit that we're
blindside.
trying. It was a behind the net blindside hit, but it was so clean. Like you couldn't have been cleaner.
I get that, but they're trying to cut the blind side hit. They're trying to cut out as much as they're trying to get at the hit from behind.
Right.
He
And you're trying
barely
to
got
get
his
rid
head
of
around the
you're
hit.
trying to you're trying to get rid of that blindside hit because of concussions.
Yes,
But when you hit a guy hip to hip,
the hit was
there's not going to
clean.
be a
Yeah,
concussion.
the,
It was
the
so
style of the hit
clean.
was clean. The style of the hit that was clean. It was the blind side. He was still looking at his numbers,
Yeah.
and that's the problem I have with it. But look at, he's playing great again. Another guy run out of New York and playing well and has steadied that defensive core a bit. So, you
Yep.
know, so that team's done well. And one of the other things we wanted to talk about, as we go around the league, we forgot to talk about it, but Minnesota playing well, and right now they got, the leading goaltender,
Well, that's your
a
other
rookie
Calder
goaltender.
candidate. You
Yeah,
got Schaefer, Seneca, Demidov, and Jesper Wallstedt, who's had like 4 or 5 shutouts already
it's incredible
out
for
of
a
10
young kid.
starts. Yeah, I mean this kid is lighting the league on fire. He's winning. He's dragging this Minnesota team into the playoffs by himself.
He's leading the
Um,
league in all three major categories: shutouts with 4, save percentage at 936, and goals against at 195. I'm sorry,
yeah.
goals against at 195. So incredible for a rookie goaltender on a team. They look at what Minnesota's always been, that team is sort of on the fringe. Do we talk about them winning a Stanley Cup? Do we not, getting past a few rounds? And
New.
but get this kind of goaltending, he gets hot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Something could give there. Now I still probably need a few more pieces offensively, um, but defensively right now I mean, goaltending wise, they're doing well. They lost the last two, but they're 7-2-1 the last 10, and again, they're in a tough division. We've always said, that central division in the West with Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, that's a
Yeah.
gauntlet. That's a
Well, I
gauntlet.
mean, yeah, and Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg,
Although
right?
Winnipeg's fallen off a cliff a little
Yeah,
bit,
but they're
but like,
missing their goaltenders,
yeah,
not
that's a
helping.
tough. That's a tough. I mean, you don't even have to go past Colorado and Dallas, and we've spent enough time talking about those two for people to understand how we feel about. We're glad our teams aren't in the same division as those
Oh,
two.
I wouldn't even know what to say if our teams were in that division right now. We'd be so far
That's
back. We'd be so far back we wouldn't even know where they were.
yeah.
We wouldn't even know where they
We're
were.
looking up, looking
But
up.
the other thing we wanted to talk about tonight, because we're getting closer to that sort of Christmas trade embargo. There's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot of chatter. We talked about it last weekend, but there's seemingly this week the amount of speculative potential trades seems to just been spiked in the last few days. Everybody seems to be in a hurry before the Christmas break to be the first one to make the move. We know New Jersey's trying to get Quinn out of Vancouver. I think there's smoke
Well,
there. There's no fire there. I think,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
they'd love to have him,
they'd love to have him, but like,
but
what you'd have to offer them
right, King's ransom to get
a
him.
king's ransom to get him. And, just because Vancouver says they're open for business doesn't mean they're
Right.
listening to
The
anything other than to gauge the market.
Yeah, and the team that seems to be the front runner there actually is Detroit. From if you listen to some of
Oh,
the
really? For Hughes?
prognosticator for Hughes, so that Detroit could be a front runner for Hughes.
Interesting.
But again, maybe they have some assets. They probably have a lot of draft choices in order to offer up for him. I think Vancouver would love to see stockpile their
Yeah.
futures
Well,
for him.
Maybe the Canadians could package David Reinbacher and a couple of first round draft picks for Quinn Hughes. Can you
You
imagine
think
Quinn Hughes and Lane Hudson on a blue line together?
that'd be pretty impressive?
It'd be so much fun to watch.
The camera guys would have to get better at speeding up their
Oh my God. They
swing from
wouldn't,
side to side.
you'd have to install new cameras.
But I would still say that, other than Vancouver, I think Edmonton is really heated up on trying to. I think they've, forget about the last few games where they seemingly have played better. They're 1-2. They've scored a lot of goals. They've had a couple shutouts. But I think they've realized that Skinner ain't going to get them to the promised land
No.
again. But what we learned this week was that, unfortunately, the goaltender that seemed to be courting in Jordan Biddington A is having a bad year, and B apparently has them on his no trade clause list. So Binnington seems to be out of the mix, and it seems to be Soros now is who they're trying to get. They're trying to get Soros and somebody else out of their defensive core to come to Edmonton. The problem they've got is cap space. Anybody they bring
Right.
in, unless Skinner goes the other direction, and now they're trying to say that they'd like to have Skinner's paired with somebody else. And if they keep Skinner and bring in another goaltender, they need to jettison some salary cap in order to fit all that in. So I think that's what's holding it up. But I still
Yeah.
say that Edmonton's going to make the first
Yeah, well, the
move here.
rumors have been that they're talking to Pittsburgh about Jarry,
Jari as well.
Tristan Jarry comes with
He
a
comes with a
decent
four and a
cap
half
hit,
million dollar cap hit too,
and
right?
that
So
and Pittsburgh is not willing to eat money there. So
right. And they're
uh,
and they're sitting in a playoff spot playing again another team that we said had no business being in the playoffs right now is now yeah they're a point up but they're still in the race.
yeah,
Their season's not over by any stretch of the imagination. They're certainly not Ottawa, they're certainly not Buffalo, Nashville, or Vancouver or Calgary at this point in time, which are
no,
the
but
sellers.
their goaltending options that they have in house are probably not that much worse than Tristan Jarry. You're probably going to get somebody like Edmonton to overpay for him.
Mhm.
If you're in a retooling period anyway, and you're not giving up much with respect to the last hurrah of Geno Malkin, then yeah, you make that deal every day,
Yeah.
and you
But
can
Jari
sell
and
that to the team.
Soros seem to be the two front runners to go to Edmonton at this point.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you got to believe that's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen soon. I still believe there's going to be some major move that's going to happen before Christmas embargo break or whatever you want to call it. And that will open the floodgates, whether that floodgate sort of happens beforehand or early in January. But I think there's going to be some big
yeah.
moves before the trade deadline and before the Olympic break. But there's going to be one that's going to kick it off before Christmas, in my opinion.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that and hold you to it and see where things go. Okay. So last thing we need to talk about before we sign off for the week. Um, I think the official dimensions of the Olympic rink are 67 feet by 30 feet.
What a debacle this has turned out to be. Forget about the rink not being ready, but everybody knows what the dimensions of a hockey rink are. And how
Yeah.
can how can they get it so wrong? A 4 feet, you'll say, it's not that bad, it's not that much. Apparently, there was a lot of complaints during the Four Nations that there wasn't enough room on the ice, and they were playing an NHL-sized rink.
Yep.
And now you go down 4 feet, which means if you listen to, again, the experts, they're saying what changes is not the ozone area, it's the neutral zone gets shrunk, right? So your play between the blue lines is smaller.
Yeah.
So the ozone and D zone doesn't change, but it does shrink your ability to move the puck in that neutral zone area. And again, it's just a debacle. Like how the IHF has let this happen, and the NHL players are going unless this ice is so bad that players' health is at risk. These guys are going. But
Oh, for sure. But
and
let
if
me
I had
let me
my druthers, I
posit
would
something
cancel
else.
this tournament and just have another Four Nations.
Well, let me posit something different because the Olympics are the Olympics. And there may be facts on the ground here that I don't really know. So what I'm suggesting might be impossible. But Turin is an hour and a half drive away from Milan. The Olympics were held in Turin in 2006.
Yep.
Is there they had two perfectly good arenas to use for those Olympic hockey events back then, which by the way had NHL players at the time.
Yep.
Is there any reason why you couldn't just say, you know what, the hockey tournament's going to happen in Turin?
The fact that that hasn't come up outside of our conversations from what I've seen and read is beyond me. Then there's something must be wrong with those rinks. Or maybe something's
Maybe they
happened
got
since
torn down. It's
maybe
been
they're
20
torn.
years.
Yeah, so maybe that they don't exist anymore. The other let's take another example here that I think is more worthwhile. And actually, the guys on Spitting Chicklets talked about it this past week as a possibility. Let's take last year's Summer Olympics as an example, or 2 years ago of Summer Olympics. The
Mm-hmm.
surfing competition did not happen in Paris because they had nowhere to do it. It happened
Yeah,
in South America.
No, it didn't. It happened in like Fiji and like
Yeah, well,
territorial
Fiji. Yeah,
France.
territory. Exactly. Sorry, my apologies. But it
Yeah.
happened hundreds of miles
Yeah.
away. So you could sell out these tickets in a heartbeat. Pick 4 or 5 NHL arenas in whatever cities you want, whether it's the US or Canada,
Ooh,
and
that would be
have it in North
tough.
America.
You can't do that. I mean, the surfing
Why can't
competition,
you?
because because the surfing competition was still technically in territorial France.
There's more Italians in Toronto than there are in any other city in the world outside of Italy.
But there's
So,
look, you
so
cannot
call
tell
it
me there
whatever.
isn't. You
Look,
can't
I
tell me there's not
understand that.
you can't tell me there's not a professional hockey arena anywhere in the country of Italy. What about Rome? What about Florence? Is there?
I don't think there's there
There
might be
isn't one.
arenas, but there might not be arenas that have room for fans. But think of the money they would make if they put those games. Here's the problem, and this is why it's a bigger problem than everybody thinks it is. If they can't test this ice and they can't make sure this ice can withstand NHL play, the problem is it's not just one game a day. There's not 2 games a day. There's going to be 5 games of
Yeah,
NHL players playing on this ice in a 24-hour span, and then to turn it around the next day to play 5 more. This ice has to be spectacular, and it has to be able to withstand that conditions and that kind of usage. And I just
yeah,
don't think it's going to be. I just don't think it's being ready yet. If you put this in, pick your 3 or 4 cities in North America, and you play these guys on the North American rink, you're going to sell these tickets out in a heartbeat. You can charge a king's ransom for those tickets, and they probably would make more money. And keep in mind, then they would be on North American time zone, and the TV ratings would be that much better.
yeah. The IOC doesn't think that way.
IOC wants money. That's all they think
The
about.
IOC doesn't think that way.
So, anyways, but this guys on Spinning Chicklets, I'll hand that to them. It wasn't me that thought about this, but they're the ones that started speculating. Well, why don't they just play this thing in North America? And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
How spectacular would it be if you played it in North America? Pick your top 5 cities in North America with the most Italians, and Toronto would be one of them.
All right. All right. All right. All
So
right. So that's it for this week. We've got.
that's it. We don't want to talk about how we normally. What are you looking forward to this week?
I am
Or are you
looking
still
forward
so
to the.
depressed from last
I'm
night?
looking forward to. We have a game this. Got games against Tampa and Boston, I think, this week, and so we need to win both. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, my Leafs are playing Tampa on Monday night, so we'll hopefully wear them out for you before they play Montreal.
Yeah, like that. I like that.
Yeah, and the Leafs have got a tough week because they've got Tampa, San Jose comes to town, and they got the Oilers. And actually, we have 5 at home, so hopefully they can take some momentum from those 6 road games. And hopefully, I guess they got 4 more because the Montreal game on Saturday was a home game. So they have 4 more home games in a row that hopefully they can pick up some momentum and find their legs here and make some kind of a run.
All right. Well,
But with
cross
that-
your fingers for that.
We'll see you next week.
All right, buddy.
5 Hole Podcast. It was great to see you, Ryan.
Well, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.